Hey friends, it's Joe from DadBod. Today we got a rare 11 a.m. run because my baby needed to take some naps and I had 2 interviews this morning, and we're gonna try to run in the afternoon while humans are around, which is new for me. So let me get my phone set up and we'll get going. But yeah, the job hunt's getting interesting in all the right ways. So hopefully we'll be able to stay in region. I'm almost at the point of having hope. I had a really encouraging call this morning. So let me pop it in my head and get this thing going. Now I normally don't run during the day. First of all, I enjoy silence. Besides, my wheezing and talking with all of you. But I have to kind of adapt my schedule based on having a newborn, some of these work meetings while I'm on leave. That makes sense. So I appreciate the flexibility. Let's open YouTube, see if I could find y'all for chat. Turn off my volume, and hopefully we can have a nice run together. Turn on my settings, allow all messages, skip the survey. Hey, there's my phone. All right, so today we're gonna approach it. Normally Fridays would be a fartlek, but I'm just gonna do a nice easy recovery. 3, 2, 1, and let's run. Let's see. Oh, there's too many people out. This is weird. But I'm gonna go nice and easy, try to get 2 miles in. My whole fitness rhythm has been finicky. The other thing that's kind of new that I don't normally do is I have been fasting because I've had some really critical conversations and interviews. Fasting's like a spiritual discipline. It's common within like a lot of Judeo-Christian kind of faiths, as well as Muslims or Islam. So I've just been fasting during the day from like until dusk, and anytime I get hungry I just pray. Again, from my faith context, seeing if God can open up an opportunity to keep my family in Japan. But because of that, it is very rare that I fast. At least it's not a spiritual discipline that I do consistently. It's cherry blossoms, by the way. It's sporadic, maybe like in very key pivotal decision making kind of moments I can feel prompted and do it, and it's been really helpful for me to kind of work through and process some feelings of resentment and bitterness towards J&J and all the challenges my family's had, so I can come in energized. But because of that, I like never work out or train while fasting. So I have no idea how today's gonna feel. Whew. And I've been busy with a lot of other things. So my training has been kind of erratic. I've been wanting to start a new program and just haven't been able to put in the time to make it happen. So I'm also trying to process through that, like what's going on. My parental leave's been really, I'd say mushy, messy, because I haven't been fully present because I'm trying to secure another job so we don't have to move 4 kids internationally in 2.5 months. Just doesn't feel like a good time. But all that said, I'm actually in a pretty good mood. It took a lot for me to decide to get up, get out, and run, even though it's off rhythm. Like, it's in the middle of fasting, it's in the middle of the day, I haven't had a stellar week of fitness, I got a whole bunch of feelings and emotions I'm processing. But I had all these things I thought I needed to do in the afternoon while my kids were at school, and then I've landed at this posture of I should go run. Or it's not 4:30 a.m. so there's some people and car noises, light. So there's like all these little barriers. I go, oh, we can go through here because it's open. Shoot, let's walk here. This is like a Japanese garden. I normally never get to go through this because it's always closed. Sick. We'll probably have to be a little quiet in here. A little quiet, a little respectful. Once I had a gestational challenge, I want to use that bathroom. I almost climbed that fence. I didn't do it because that'd be illegal. All right, let's be quiet. Oh, beautiful. Whew. So we'll just walk for a minute, not die on these steps. This is like a traditional Japanese garden. Lots of boulders. But anyway, I had two really interesting conversations today, which was maybe that's what I want to talk about today. It's this conversation of limiting questions and exploratory questions. I guess particularly through like the lens of hiring or vetting someone for an opportunity. So one of the things I've run into in my quest to keep my family from moving a 13th time in 4 years. Right, that's the new quest, because we moved 12 times in 1 year, so really trying to not move while still finding a role where I can lead as an engineer, as a global leader. And one of the challenges I've run into consistently is this concept of limiting questions. A limiting question sounds like, let me give you a good example. I'm gonna be honest, anytime throughout the process that someone says, I'm going to be honest, is another way of saying, yeah, we just don't see how you fit. Or there's this issue, like one of the big issues that came up for one role, which is still kind of on the table, still pending, was someone's like, you know, we originally thought about this being an international assignee, which means J&J provides like perks, like they rotate talent globally, pay for schooling, housing, and pay base salary. And they're like, we originally imagined that, didn't get the budget for it, so we're looking to locally hire it. And it was like, that limiting question is already like, so we're just gonna have to weed you out. And then based on the interview, they were like, I could tell he kind of left with a shifted perspective of like, oh, maybe he's gonna go figure it out. Right? So you can flip a limiting question, you know, through all your other skills and passions and giftings you bring to the table. Another one that I navigated is like, I was looking for project director opportunities, so the ability to lead a project which has people connected with it. So you're leading a team, you're leading budget, you're developing something new, something cool to help people, right? Like limiting question walls I'd run into is like, well, how many projects have you launched? And it's like, well, that's the wrong question. I haven't launched any products, but I've worked across every aspect of launching a project, just not sequentially. Because you know, it's like these kinds of questions, the problem with them, they're intended to make the process fair, to kind of filter or weed people out that aren't credentialed. Well, how they're designed to filter weed people out that aren't the best fit, to be fair, to give the job to the most qualified. But the problem is they come from a biased perspective of what a candidate should or shouldn't be. And a lot of times they have to resemble the image of the person who's hiring. So to frame that out a little bit more, like this project director asking these questions may have had to jump through certain hoops in their career, certain milestones, including launching a product or multiple products, in order for the business to advance them into a role of authority like a director. And that's a very true, visceral, real experience for that individual. But were they ready to be a director before doing that? Before doing it multiple times? Before doing it once? So it's like those milestones, those accomplishments are important, and our experiences are important, but they also can cause us to be biased and miss diverse skill sets. To miss diverse skill sets. 1 second. This one is it. And they kind of box people out and keep them locked on their current tracks. And it's important, you know, you have 30 people applying for a job, you have one job. You have to get the best person, and I would not have the audacity to say I'm the best person, right? But here's the flip side. Here's what I experienced today, which was really, really encouraging. I sat down with a leader who started asking expansive, exploratory questions, who started framing up like, how do we find transferable skills to demonstrate you can fit for this role? You know? You know, so all these questions were exploratory, and what was amazing about this interview was that it put me in a posture of being able to speak from my best. Like, it made it as simple as like,
Well, just tell them. Just show them. Show them what you've done. Share what you believe you can do. Like, I was being looked at through this lens of what's your future potential, rather than, you know, how do we keep you where you're at. And there was a lot that built up to that call. There's a lot of persistence from my side, just interest and passion in the space. There was a lot from colleagues in the region reaching out on my behalf to vouch for my talent, you know, for multiple people to kind of show and say, like, let's open a door. And I think that's just incredible, right? So she might not have led that way if there weren't the other pieces. But somewhere along the process, she had seen enough or heard enough to be in a position of exploratory questioning and really trying to set us up for success. And that was really, 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 really edifying. It's a gift. So the question I'm starting to think about is, when I'm in the position of interviewing people for different roles, for seeking talent, like, how can I lead in that posture? Because when you set someone at ease, it allows you to actually see through all the lenses of persona. Like, we all put up fronts with one another. We try to project our picturesque, photoshopped version of ourselves. And the risk is if you get fooled and you hire someone who has a nice persona, but there's not a depth of character under it, or at least a character or personality that's adaptable, shapeable, open to critique and feedback and getting better, like, then you're stuck. You've wasted a lot of money. And when you lead off with limiting questions, when you lead off with putting this huge wall between you and the candidate that they have to climb up and over to have even a remote shot at an opportunity, that really doesn't bring out people's best. It doesn't bring out their worst, right? And for some, you're gonna be able to figure out, it's like a pressure test, like, who's the go-getter? But is that really what you want to hire? Hire just for the pressure side? Because if you have a healthy organization, it goes through ebbs and flows, hills and valleys. Let's go for another mile. Let's go out to 2. Get some more blossoms. Oh, it's beautiful out. Nice. Like, you want to engage people at their best. That's my opinion. Because the best represents, like, the top of their capability, in my opinion. And in an interview, you had everyone set up with butterflies, skittish, afraid. You're gonna end up hiring somebody who's practiced and rehearsed well enough to fake it through an interview, rise to the top, and then when you're in their organization, they're really good at masking. I don't know, maybe I'm being a little judgy. I'm still processing it from the other side of the table. But like today's discussion with this one interviewer, if I were offered both jobs, job A, the interviewer with exploratory questions, job B, limiting questions, similar level of leadership, similar pay, both keep me in the region, I'd go with the exploratory leader, because it's an indication of how they're going to continue to see the potential in me and position me well for the future, position my family well. They're going to be with me in the lows. Neil could say that's too deep of a read. But I don't know, felt pretty darn genuine to me. And it wasn't that the first one wasn't genuine. It's just maybe how we're trained to think we should find talent. I would much rather approach the process with a pulling someone up perspective than seeing how high they can climb over structural walls. Like internal to Johnson & Johnson, because I work there. There's an internal job board. You can see everything that the business is hiring for, what level, who the hiring manager is. You can apply to anything. I applied to 24 roles. And the system, HR process, whatever, bumped me out of the vast majority of them without really giving me the time of day. I don't know, like, if someone in your company is looking to make a shift, shouldn't you at least give them 30 minutes? Just as a courtesy, just to ask your questions, just to connect. I had one of those today where, like, I wasn't a fit for what they're actually looking for, but they're like, let me kind of connect around the process with other business leaders. Like, how cool is that? Right? That was great. A+ for Gigi. So that's part of the journey. It's part of the fun. These processes. Oh, yeah, it's gorgeous out, man. I'm walking. My form's not perfect. Pace definitely is quick. I also run when no one's around, so that I'm less insecure about pace. So I run quicker artificially around other people. Anyway, in your sphere of influence, wherever you're at, if you're privileged to be a leader sitting across the table from someone looking for an opportunity, figure out how to ask them questions that can show where they can show their best and feel as confident as possible in your presence, even if they're not the right fit for the job, that they can present at their best so that they bring that same confidence into the next interview with somebody else. You know, that you can give them the feedback, but they can get back out and find the next opportunity. Build them up. Culture favors too much rejection without feedback. Konnichiwa. So that's your encouragement of the day, friend. Be kind. Let's just call that being kind. We can still be kind as we see who's a fit for what, right? I don't think that's too large of an ask. I don't know, maybe you disagree, but seems pretty darn reasonable to me. Just a simple courtesy. Be good to one another, right? Sometimes I have to use my nose as a clicker. Getting really good at it. And I wear my gloves. Whew. And filter. All messages. Yep. We're almost at 2-mile mark. But today's definitely a clear my head run. Get out on my body. Make it work. Hit a couple deadlifts. Get things feeling right. Ugh. And also get the heck away from my computer and my phone. I mean, I'm holding my phone right now to check chat, which there's no chat because there's no one here yet, but this run's dedicated to Lucius. Sometimes he watches these after the fact. Shout out to Lucius. Yuki Snow Norman, whatever he goes by. He's good people. He's from the UK, studying computer science. He's my best friend. I don't know if he's at best friend level, but we're pretty solid. Oh my gosh, it's Life is Nice. How's it going? We're on a run in Japan. There's cherry blossoms, and I'm processing deep aspects of life as I'm applying for different jobs to hopefully keep my family here. Are you running? I will again in a minute. But yeah, there's some blossoms. They're coming in. Welcome to Tokyo. All right, we'll start running again. But yeah, they're gorgeous. It's a little overcast today. It was raining earlier. Not too bad. But life is nice. How are you? What part of the world do you live in? Hopefully it's nice there. Wow, that's pretty. It is. It's very nice out here. I'll get you out to the river if you hang out for another, I'm slow, maybe another 10 minutes. We'll get out to the river. So over there's Kawasaki, and then this side's Tokyo. So the river separates Tokyo City from Kawasaki. A lot of times my family will drive over that blue bridge to go to a mall that has really good restaurants. Oh, good, wonderful. I live in the US, wonderful. Is it nice? I used to live in Chicago and Cincinnati, Ohio. Each place has its charm and its gun violence, you know, so always wanted to go to Tokyo. You should totally do it, my friend. It's wonderful. I've lived here for about 2 years. My family relocated 12 times in 1 year with 3 kids at the time in order to get in country. And we just had our 4th about 6 weeks ago. So we're adapting. So welcome to the frenzy of our world as we learn how to raise 4 kids in Japan. Hopefully. Yeah, we live in central Tokyo. And I work for Johnson & Johnson on surgical robotics innovation. So I came to Japan to connect with Japanese clinicians, understand their unmet needs, and then I lead R&D team members from a global perspective. Most are in the US, some in China, to develop new technologies to serve clinicians. And my job here ends in June, so I've been hitting the pavement. Had 2 interviews today, trying to get another job to hopefully keep us here, just to give the kids a little bit more stability. They got really good friendships they're building after 2 years in country, and just trying to equalize life. We have a really nice support network of international parents, from our kids' school. We just don't want to pack up and head to a new place right now. Must have been hard because of the language. Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I studied Japanese for 3 years in college. My first semester I got a C, second semester a C minus, last semester a D plus, so it progressively got worse at the language. And living out in country, my Japanese has gotten no better and my English has only gotten worse. It's awesome. Konnichiwa. That's a nice one right there. It's a photo shoot Friday. Alright, let's get out to the water. There's one of my favorite train lines. I think that's the Kyoko line. I always mix it up. It's night over here, yeah. It should be super late, dude. We could play the game where you tell me what time it is and I guess what state you're in, because I work with partners in California, New Jersey, Ohio, and then Japan doesn't have normal daylight savings either, so it's always fun to guess. March always screws me up because I have to shift my whole working schedule for daylight savings because Japan doesn't follow suit. So like all my recurring meetings that were at like 5 a.m. for me all of a sudden don't work for partners on this side of the world. Right now it's 12:20. That's a 3-hour difference. 1 hour difference would put you East Coast. 2 hour difference would put you Central. 3 hour would be, is that Mountain Time? It's not Pacific Time, right? It's too close. Mountain Time. So then that would be like Colorado, Montana, Arizona. What else we got? What else is in Mountain Time? That whole middle Kansas Mountain Time. That whole section east to Chicago messes me up. I have to like jump all the way across to California and work back. Like I know Washington should be Pacific time zone, but then I don't know how to visualize a map. Like where's Utah? Is Utah Mountain Time? I feel like I'm digging a hole here. Let's keep jogging. So we already passed 2 miles, which would be the halfway point. I'm feeling kind of sprite, processing a lot, enjoying friendship. So let's make it a nice 5-mile jaunt. We'll go up to 2.5. Hey, I got the time zone right. Awesome. So we'll go up to 2.5. 2.5 miles will put us at 2.5 back. We'll run, walk it. It's Utah! Yes! Like Salt Lake City, don't share your address or someone will come and kill you. Well, I mean, that's not guaranteed either. It's just not safe. I mean, the internet, I won't do it. And neither will my people. Just kidding. Anyway, nice to meet you, my Utonian friend. I hope all is nice in Utah. And you should definitely make a trip out to Tokyo. I don't know if you can get a direct flight from Salt Lake City to Tokyo, or if you'd have to connect through SFO, like San Francisco. Probably through SFO. I'm tired. Yes! But life is good, or life is nice. If you subscribe, click your little bell. I do runs like this all the time. Normally they're about 6 hours earlier. I like to run at 4:30 a.m. or 5. Nice to meet you too. But this is part of DadBod, which makes health and wellness accessible to folks who are heavier set like me. Konnichiwa. Marathons. And I built a half marathon training program for anyone who wants me. Half of it's strength and conditioning. You sobbed? What? Oh, that's amazing. That means if the algorithm is favorable, we will continue to cross paths until one of us dies. Or we will drift apart based on how the machines study our preferences. I'm kind of a nerd. It's nice to meet you, friend. Thanks for the sub. So, we are, if we go farther and we run along the river the other way. But since today's not our normal long run, I'm gonna cut it back at 5. Normally our recoveries are much lighter, just like 2 miles. Here comes a friend. Nice form. He's got his feet landing under his center of mass. Slight tilt. Love it. That guy's gonna live forever. So 2.5 is right here. In the future, we can run across this bridge together, but I'm gonna walk. I'm also in kind of like a short season of prayer and fasting, so I don't want to go too hard because I'm not gonna eat until dusk when the sun drops out, so gotta pace myself. Anyway, I gotta go. So nice to see you. Life is nice. Thanks for the time, dude. See you on the next one. Keep changing the world. Thanks for blessing the life. It was fun. You never know who's gonna drop by. It's one of the perks of live streaming. It's one of the perks and one of the challenges. It's like you could be talking to ghosts in an empty room for quite some time. See ya? And then all of a sudden, like, a whole host of people come through. Let's kick it back up. Our pace today has been surprisingly decent. I gotta start registering for runs. Not yet. I gotta make sure I got a job. If I got a job in the region, then I'll register for some runs. Whew. All right, keep it moving. Keep it grooving. Oh, I had so much internal resistance to this, but running is like a deep processing exercise for me. It just helps me kind of air out all the crap in my head, all the thoughts that aren't helpful, and kind of renewed or augmented perspective. It's not fun as I laugh through it, but it's good. It's very good. So, very happy I took a pause. Let's walk again. Oh, hit some deadlifts. It's funny, I was worried about the temperature, so I wore a long sleeve shirt. Now I'm burning up. I'm gonna do a couple high knees after some deadlifts. Tuck my core. There's a lot of asymmetric, not injuries, I'll say mobilization challenges that I'm trying to work through. I've kind of discovered some of these challenges, again, not issues, and as I've been working to correct them through different strength and mobility work, it's changing my gait. And your gait is just the way you run, how you land, your pacing, your form. It's not necessarily shifting it in a bad direction, but it's different. So it doesn't feel like home. It's like unfamiliar. And things that are unfamiliar are often threatening and scary. So I'm just very cautious. Oh, look, you got in Crash Bandicoot, if you're riding a little jet ski with Coco, you hit that ramp just right, you'll float up and hit a box. I don't know if you could see that on the live. That's awesome. Like, why is there a little arrow under the water? I mean, my live has like a 30-second delay, so I'm gonna actually look and see if it comes through. That might be worth clipping. It's hilarious. See if I could like zoom in on it. Oh, it's so funny. That might be my TikTok for tonight. You always got to put something out, so I like the variety. I'm gonna do a couple more high knees. So I have one of my challenges. There we go. I like that language. One of my challenges is hip flexors. Like, one hip flexor is way more mobile than another. So it's something I'm working through. It's beautiful out here today. And it's supposed to rain at noon, but it's past noon and we're dry, so I'll take it. Wonderful, wonderful. What a privilege. What a privilege to live here. All right, let's go. Run it up. Konnichiwa. So I'm just working on landing, good form. Keep my core taut, lower back taut, and I'll work into my range of motion. Now on a good day, if you look straight out towards that field, you can actually see Mount Fuji, but it's very overcast, so it's difficult to perceive. But on a super clear day, you can see the peaks. It's awesome. So cool. But people who want to see and experience Japan shouldn't follow my channel, because they just watch me run the same damn path along this river. But I'll tell you, out of all the running I've done in my entire life, this is my favorite trail. It's just so wonderful to get out here, even if I hate it. At least there's something to see. Let's try this trail. Never done this before. That way I don't interrupt the photo shoot. Hopefully it's not too muddy. It's just for different. I'm actually genuinely surprised the pace I can push out right now on a fast. I'll see how I hold up by 5 p.m. Caw! Bird! All right. All right. I'm actually surprised how far this thing goes. Oh no, mud. Oh man, I normally don't get to run this close to the water. This is sweet. I'm always over there on the gravel. So oh, we got some aches and pains. Right shoulder's a little sore. I've been rehabbing it, but fell off that discipline a little bit this past week, so I'm feeling it's discomfort. It's not anything I can't work through, but it'll be nice to, I gotta be careful. I'm not taking it easy. I am actively moving and breathing, stepping. Mileage is mileage. I'm trying to bring my cardio down. Technically today's supposed to be a fartlek, which is normally interval training applied. Toggle high intensity pace and back down. And actually I've kind of intervaled the majority of this run, so I don't mind it too much. Trail, or do we kick it back? All the trees are on that side, but I kind of want to know. Got me kind of curious, but I am walking up in Oji-san's territory over here. You gotta respect your elders, so we'll see. I'll keep running it this way, and I'll hook it back once it's time to get back. Yeah, today was cool because I just kind of followed my legs. I was like, God, what do we... I ran with no plan today. Ooh. Where does this go? Ooh, looks wet enough that I don't like it. Let's try it. Just gotta cut my feet into it. Hopefully not get ticks or wet socks. No wet socks, please. Don't like wet socks. Don't like spiders. Don't like ticks. Don't like snakes. Oh, this is fun. Look at what we found. Do we want to go down? Just nod your head and say yes. All right, well, let's figure that out. Oh, this is cool. This is very cool. I explored and found a new perch, of which I am quite happy. What's the spot? Where's the best sitting perch to enjoy the water? I'll do that one. They're angled, which is kind of funky. Ooh, ooh. Can we just sit a spell? Look at that. Oh, this is nice. As long as I don't drop my phone in this hole, we're fine. Famous last words, all right? Alright, so we can hang out for a little bit. I'm gonna shut up and give you some nice river noises. Normally for me, running is a bit of like a refining spiritual process. I come from a faith-based context, but I try to make our community inclusive to people from a wide range of spiritualities, faiths, and lack thereof. So I'm probably gonna take like 5 minutes of stillness just to kind of pray and reflect. I've been trying to interview for jobs keep our family in Japan, and timing's becoming a really critical factor on whether or not we get to stay, which is scary when you're trying to provide stability. So I'm trying to have faith in that space, that things will work out and that I can find a match where my skills and passions meet what the business needs out here. So I'll probably spend some time just trying to work that out, pray through that. But at the same time, if you come from, you know, different spiritualities, Zen, traditional Buddhism, Shinto, Confucius, Tao, you know, create a little bit of space for intentional mindfulness and reflection and not filling your life with words and things. We live in a, you know, swipe culture, and our feeds are saturated with noise, as are our lives and our cities that we live in, our workplaces. So yeah, it's 12:39. I think I'll shut up until maybe 12:45. Give us a good 6 minutes out here. I'll pray in my head. You can use the time as you feel led, and then we'll run home. Sweet, let's go. All right, fine. I'm looking at chat as if chat's telling me to leave. It's like, no, it's not. We ended up doing 10 minutes. That's awesome. Don't die. I do know there's a battery in my head with only so much time left in it. I don't want to stiffen up and get too sore. Oh, this is nice though. Feel like I'm on the way to peace. Got some partial peace from that. But we'll see. Let's keep going. It's a nice step up. Look at that redirect from Oji-san set us up for, I don't know, this might be our new spot. Our other spot's way down there, but they've been building a bridge, which I'm a bridge builder, so I appreciate the visual arc, but I kind of appreciate the way all the water connects here. It's really aesthetic. So I might make this my new recovery run. Might be a little longer now, a little farther with this little spot. Let's see if I can get up the hill I came down. Ooh, sore. We'll see. The battery might make it the rest of the way. We ended up doing 5 miles. So normally can make it just about 6, but we did indulge there on the side quest, and we've been walking a little bit. So all right, here we go. You ready? Let's walk. Let's walk, reflect, enjoy. I need to chase some enjoyment in the days, months, and years to come. Work too hard. All right. It's beautiful out on the grassy side. Like I said earlier, I don't normally run trails. I do. I guess that counts as a trail. I normally run on gravel. So it's kind of interesting getting out here on the grass and that kind of secret trail I found. I really liked it. But all the trees are on that strip, so I kind of should work back. But I also kind of like being out here. Like, I want to see if there's more of that action to explore and wander through. And it feels nice, just as it's slightly softer terrain, but it's not too muddy, as long as I'm keeping my eyes open and looking around. Because at least out here, most of the water just runs down into the river, so not much to worry about here. Birds! Spring in Japan, let's go! Birds gotta make more birds. See, there's another one down here. I feel like DJ Khaled. Another one. Where's this one go? Look at me, I'm like on a little Japanese adventure hike. This is not what I was planning at all. But I've decided I'm gonna make this my day. Oh, all right, it ends in the mud. Well, that's as far as that adventure hike's gonna take us. It's a nice spot though. Little muddy path things. There's a lot of blossoms over there. Whew. Yeah, it's funny. A lot of times when we're applying for jobs or things, I'll wait for Oji-san to pass. When we apply for jobs and things, we can often take silence or inactivity in the process as an indication of being ghosted, or you're not the right fit, being passed over for someone else, not feeling qualified, or like you got a shot. Like there's all these layers of all these things that you can feel and process through in the journey. That crane's our target, by the way. That's where we turned it up. And I had reached out, shared this like video portfolio of all my work to an Asia Pacific APAC director for a role that I was really interested in. It was adjacent to all the work I'd already been doing and connected with the people I had been serving in Japan. And like almost immediately and unexpectedly, that director responded and just said, wow, thank you so much for sharing this. You know, I'll be thinking about it over the weekend. Like, it felt like a very like enthusiastic open door. And then there's a meeting set up between me and one of their team members, and the team member invited them, and they were going to try to make it, and it was becoming a thing. And then I had to cancel the meeting because we went into like an emergency labor and delivery scenario with 10 days in the hospital, 5 attempted inductions. Dude, we found our own private cherry blossom. Sick! This is awesome. This is all full in bloom. It's beautiful. Wow. Let's go this way. Wow. I could sit under that for a while. But so that meeting got canceled, which was going to be kind of like our first like hey with one another. And then I was on parental leave, and she never followed up. Not her fault, but I had perceived it as like, especially because I'd heard from other people around the process that like they're really looking for someone who's an expert in this space. Like all these limiting questions, we talked about that earlier on the run if you go back. You know, all these limiting kind of, I get it. And when we reached out and she was chatting with me, she was just trying to like honor parental leave, which was the coolest thing, because she was explaining like she felt some conviction. Oh my gosh, I love this whole side. Does that trail cross over into that? We gotta go see this. Even if the GoPro dies, unless it, oh, it's a little steep for a big man like me. Whoa. Wow, yeah, dude, what is this in the middle of the river? This would be a sick place to have a bonfire. That might be illegal. I don't know if you can just light up fires wherever you want in Japan. But anyway, like, she told me she was just trying to honor parental leave, and like she didn't know when she could press in, but she wanted to connect. But she's coming to Japan in 2 weeks, but she just wanted to, you know, mess with the parental leave, and she knows what it was like having kids. Like, it was all from the posture of like empathy, and that was just so honoring for me. Like, I like received all of that as a kindness. And then she started asking really like exploratory, engaging, expanding kind of questions. I don't know where to go. Shoot. All right, well, we're trapped. Oh, is that a path? I don't know the way. This is new territory. I don't get to walk around on rocks out here. Hopefully I don't step on a knife or anything. But yeah, like, I gotta watch my imposter syndrome. Gotta put a check on that, because it'll cause moments like that where people are genuinely caring about you by not pushing. See, this reminds me of like Final Fantasy when you meet with the, oh, what's his name? Quina like eats monsters with a fork. Final Fantasy 9 or 7, 8. I never understood Roman numerals as a kid. But yeah, it was pretty wild to just kind of like get re-engaged for a job that I thought was, I don't want to say it was out of my league, because I think I actually qualify for it and I have a lot of transferable skills for it. But like, I had to overcome the perception other people had told me about the opportunity, the self-insecurities I had by perceiving that I was ghosted or looked over for the role, and just to show up for that conversation and kind of reawaken a belief that, oh, this is something that I could actually pursue and get. Like, that's pretty neat. You know, if I throw a little effort at it, we could be in good shape for this. So that was really interesting, really unexpected today. And it's just like I'm making mental notes of how I want to lead as I progress in my career. If I truly break through my own glass ceiling and make it into J&J global leadership, there's just so much I want to take with me from the suffering and the pain, the challenges and the confusion, and really do well at it. Honor the responsibility, show up for it, be diligent, graceful, take risks, make lots of mistakes, get in trouble. All the good stuff leaders should do. Listen sometimes. Also, all the things leaders should do, right? It's funny, like any movie we think about with like a key archetype, protagonist. Any movie we think of with like a key protagonist, we always tend to like the protagonist where there's a barrier, or like the commander's like, don't you go into that battle, or don't you do this thing, and the protagonist weighs it and is conflicted, and then ultimately they ignore the order, right? Like, we love to see that. That's so cool. That's a really big American value. It's a US-centric perspective. I don't know if it's viewed the same way in Japan. Japan kind of honors what's the collective good. Very Spock-like from Star Trek. I don't think either value system is superior to the other. They both offer beautiful strengths and weaknesses. I tend to be more like Kirk. I like to think I'm more like Kirk. I'm not as brash, though. Maybe I'm Scotty. Scotty! It's my favorite. Alright. Should we run? I don't know if we should run or walk. I'm enjoying walking. And kind of the intentionally taking longer than I could is kind of a neat therapeutic element for me right now. Like choosing to make this my time at the pace it goes. But I do know our time together will end when the camera dies. And I always like to take you to the finish line, but it's not always possible. But when I was a kid in high school, we had time to burn. We weren't playing video games. Me and Felicia, or my wife, or other friends, we'd go explore trails, rivers, and wood. I don't really set aside as much time for it now that I live in Japan, so this is really neat. This is these little side trails, man. I might start running these more often. Like, what the heck's down there? I don't know. It's cool though. It's nice not having a timer set by getting my kids to school. I think that's what's most interesting, because normally I run at 4:30 in the morning. That looks like a snake hole. Normally I run at 4:30 in the morning. I have been attacked by a snake once while I was on a run. And I normally have to get back in time to get the kids off to school. So for my long runs on Monday, when I'm doing like 8 miles, I gotta wake up at like 3:40 in order to get out here because I'm slow. I'm a big man. I'm 300 pounds. I don't move fast. I can move far. It takes time. So this is great because we ran the first 2.5 miles with a couple recovery walk stretches in. We've kind of made the end of this workout more of an exploratory adventure trail walk, because I've never seen any part of this. I've run past this for 2 years now, and I'm like seeing it with fresh eyes. It's wonderful. And I get to take my fun little corner of the internet with me. Whew. I'm like, how am I still that far away? It's like, bud, you ran 2.4 miles, 2.5 miles. What are we at now? Probably pressing towards 3? You gotta be past 3. That would have been 3 back there. 3.5. We're not at 4 left yet. We're not at 4, which would be 1 mile left. Oh, I have a phone. I can just look, can't I? 3.86, not bad. But it's fun kind of being back here, exploring and experiencing something new out by the river. Seeing some beautiful flowering trees. It's making me feel like I need to play Ghost of Tsushima tonight. And this isn't like true Japanese countryside, but one of the best things that game did, which some people may underappreciate, is they did not mess around with the fauna, the floral elements of that game. Oh, absolutely incredible. It's possible that people live out here, so I'm going to be more quiet. I don't really know what's going on back there. They had a camera looking out. It definitely feels kind of squatterish. Not out of judgment. Homelessness is really rare in Japan. It's not non-existent though, and it depends on where you go. I haven't had proximity to it, so it's actually just an area where I don't understand how to navigate that in this cultural context. Let's get a couple deadlifts in. We'll do 3. 1, 2, 3. My wife was checking out that glass house, or it's not a glass house, it's a concrete house. It's painted light blue with all these like strange shaped triangle rhomboid kind of windows and doors. Like every piece of glass on that building looks custom and expensive. It's awesome. It really feels like people built little houses back here. Like, where's that gate lead? I really want to know. Beautiful, beautiful day. I've been running along this trail for years. It's really cool, humbling, and weird to say that, because so much of this journey to Japan has been in a space of the unknown, of if we'd ever get out here, if we'd ever be able to stay out here. Like, the whole path to Japan has been wild, uncertain, left us grasping from a faith perspective of like, Jesus, what are you doing? Is this gonna work out? Is my family gonna be okay? Are we gonna be financially ruined by this transition? So we've taken on debt during a lot of our transitions to get here, trying to work that out. And it's like, at 32 years old, I'm gonna be very careful here, I can almost see daylight of an opportunity that could work for us, where my kids' schooling could be paid, our housing's still covered without us having to relocate. I could provide value as a global leader in Japan and Asia Pacific, which is an area that I'm really interested in. That, like, I'm starting to have a vision for that, which is cool. And I think, like, most importantly, the role, responsibilities, and compensation should be shifted in an equitable manner towards my skill set. And what I mean by that is, like, to get to Japan and to get to this position, we've taken a lot of lateral moves, and it hasn't, like, my base pay isn't cutting it from a general living's expenses perspective, mixed with cost of living adjustments in Japan, student debt that's outstanding, including some master's debt that I just took on. We don't have any auto debt, which I'm really, really grateful for, that we have a car that works, that's paid off. That was a gift from God. came from another like Christian family that was moving back to the States, and they're like, hey, we have this like perfect car, do you want it for a very reasonable price? And we're like, yes, please. No, not really. It was actually like a lot of fear about the process of how to buy a car in Japan is really involved. Way different than the US. But we all of that has brought us down a path of expenses exceeding input or income. And oh man, I could relax a little bit with content creation if I had a job that just paid the bills. Doesn't mean I'll stop. I want to do both, and it could be a legitimate exit from J&J someday. But if I could work for J&J, do fun videos on the side, and have that life be financially viable out here, I'd be perfectly content for the next 3 years, and then see what happens, right? Who knows? Who knows? So I can almost see daylight. I'm trying to hold on to faith and hope that something outside my control, circumstance-wise, won't swoop in and screw this one up. But you never really know with these things. Like, you don't know. And I think our whole family's in the space if we don't know what's going on, what our future looks like, if it's gonna be okay. And that's not a terrible space to be. It's just brutally uncomfortable. Well, friends, we successfully did the trail. How do you all feel? Let's go see a couple blossoms on our way out. Took the slow walk path back. Still getting good cardio, still getting out on our legs. Love it. Still enjoying some cherry blossoms. This is a really nice spot, actually. Got a good run in today. Feel good about it. And get some good reflection and walk in as well. Well, anyway, those are all the things in my head. We'll see where it all pans out over time. I've tried to be transparent with the journey, just because I know other people in our community are mid-career, early career, or in college thinking about engineering, and like there's so much lack of transparency in how the world really works, so that once you start getting into these spaces, especially global leadership spaces with international relocation, that's like a secret world. There's so much behind the curtain. I could write a whole book just on global assignment and how tricky it truly is. Yeah, I'm gonna start running. Let's go. Let's finish up. Birds! Get it done. I'm not gonna run the whole thing, but I will do a little bit of this. I got about a mile left. Really torn up this road with all the trucking. I am a little gassed now, which makes sense. Haven't eaten since breakfast at sunrise. Alright, doing it. I'm gonna walk. That one hill got me. Again, I'm not fueled the way I normally am. And I thought about bringing a gooey packet, which I didn't really think would invalidate my fast. Not that I'm legalistic about it. But I didn't bring one because I was like, oh, we're just gonna do a nice and easy 1.5 miles. Be really careful with our body. You know, treat it like a little ceramic teapot. And then I got out here, I was like, we're gonna go for 2 miles. We're gonna go for 2.5. That stretches it to 5. We're gonna go trail adventure. I picked up just a little bit of running momentum. And all of a sudden it's like, oh no. You just made a terrible mistake. Terrible, terrible mistake. So, we shall see. We shall see what comes next in life. But I think I'm on the walk path. We'll see. A lot of times when there's other people walking around, especially larger crowds, this is an insecurity. I feel weird walking past people with a GoPro in my head. Whereas if I'm running, it seems a little bit less psychotic, a little bit more normal. I'm like, oh, he must be some big, tall, white adventure runner guy. When I'm walking, it's like, why is that guy walking? Talking to himself. But we take our insecurity with us everywhere we go. Love Japanese election signs. They're the best. So good. So good. Bum, da, 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 da. Konnichiwa. That's a good one. That's so nice. Yeah, so people come to Japan, schedule their whole trip around cherry blossoms, and a cold snap will cause it to delay bloom. Warm snap will bring the bloom early. Or you can have a warm snap brings it early, they bloom, and then cold snap and rain can drop the blooms overnight. So it's like timing your trip out to Japan during cherry blossom season it's not impossible, but even if you shoot for the nominal, there's still a chance you miss it. And they bloom at different times in different regions, like Osaka and Kyoto versus Tokyo. Some people try to ride the blooms across both regions, but even within a region, like within Tokyo, blooms in Ueno Park might come earlier or later than here, just based on small variations in weather, I don't know, soil type, trees. I'm not a treeologist. Yeah, let's run again. Let's keep going. Really interesting run today. Oh, we are nearing the close. Whew. So lots of soreness, tweaks we're working through. Overall, pretty good run thus far. Let's see. Oh, they closed the... What? They closed our little bamboo garden. Oh man. Oh, it smells good though. It's very close to the smell of fresh cut grass, which I haven't smelled in years. Japan doesn't do yards, so smelling yard work, that was surprisingly restful. The brain is weird. I used to cut my grass when I was a young man. Let's climb these steps towards victory. Here we go. We're so fast. Looks like we could still sneak up the trail. Let's side quest. I think we should just rename this whole run a side quest. Actually, I'm gonna go up this way. Noise. Stairs. Stairs are your friend.